Hey everyone, thank you for having me here. I'm really glad to be there. I want to be honest with you. I have planned to start my speech in a different way with a good joke, but when I took my way from Lviv, I'm a Ukrainian, so from the west side of Ukraine, I was on a train station and then I heard a really loud noise. It was just a warming. It was a rocket. The explosion was in 500 meters away from me, and it was the first one, the second, the third. Number 4 was the last, but I was in the shelter this time, and the phrase, "Thank you for having me here," means a little bit more for me from the others. So, yep. Let's kick it off. Who am I? I'm Toma. I'm Supercolony Market Growth Lead, product owner of OpenBrush. We will talk about this tool a little bit later deeply. And WASM conference lead. And just the girls who explore the crypto and Polkadot world every day. Supercolony is a venture studio, and as a venture studio, we dedicated to converting some business idea into really working companies and increasing market capitalization. Why venture studio is focused and concerned about tools in Polkadot? The vision of Supercolony is ecosystem creation, taking leadership, and creating a way if there isn't no, like WASM in Polkadot, we found out this way. So, Supercolony sees WASM as an important next step in Web3's progress, and my topic today is the tools for smart contracts in Polkadot. I will speak about some importance of WASM. Moreover, I would like to cover some business points of promoting of smart contracts in current state of Polkadot. Astar team have already given you a really good explanation of WASM from technical perspective. Thank you for that. It was really awesome. And here we go. It could describe my attitude by this meme, for WASM EVM. So why I decide to talk about WASM and why do I have a huge confidence about that it will be in a public eye in the next 2, 3, or even 4 years, because I see a huge gap in knowledge, understanding, and vision for the whole community in that sphere. And I aim to highlight on this speech all growth points and change them to breakthrough spots. As probably all know, the Polkadot relay chain itself doesn't support smart contracts. Polkadot was architecture not for smart contracts at all, but we adapted the understandable and useful technology for the new ecosystem. Yep, if we have such a need, let's build a good infrastructure for comfortable use for that. So for using smart contracts, you need a virtual machine as EVM, eWASM, or WASM. Quote here, as Kevin Wood once said, WebAssembly is the future, but legacy of EVM is right now. My thoughts about it that the future is coming, and we should build the necessary condition to speed up this process. If we will do nothing, the future will never come. Okay, why should we choose WASM contracts palettes over EVM or other stuff? The problem with EVM is, as Hun mentioned, that it's stack-based machine with its limitation, which you all probably know about. So it means that smart contracts cannot surpass a certain complexity and has some limitation in what can be done. This limitation, the feature that the contract developer can create and discourage innovative project from appearing on blockchain. Even with eWASM, the current performance will be really slow, and meaning that eWASM will not be as performable as a native WASM solution. Furthermore, unlike EVM, adding additional language support for smart contract development, I'm talking about Ask or Ink. If you want to expand the smart contract development scheme for a better future for blockchain technology, technology. We need to make the technology more accessible for everyone. Here's the main point. So key points, why WebAssembly for smart contracts? Because WASM is a high performance. It's built to be as close as possible to a native machine code while still being platform independent. WASM expands the family of language available for smart contract development to include like Rust, C, C++, even Kotlin. This means you can write smart contracts in whichever language you are familiar with, and yep, full structure of functionality, not like last but not least. Also, we need to understand the current state of WASM in Polkadot. What about that? We as a venture studio understand that WASM contract performance on parachain is not ideal at all. The main problem is the size of smart contracts, and we can look at this problem from a developer's perspective, right, and see why the WASM contracts hasn't become maintained yet. So, because WASM is a common language and many other languages can be compiled to that, it means it's really extensive, only part of it covered in documentation, so no single source of documentation. It's really a problem. No dedicated development tools or environment compared to Solidity and EVM. Also, some tools and solutions are not available on WASM at all. So, yep, there is a lack of live network that provide the environment for WASM contracts to live on. The reason is that the contract has a really huge size that I mentioned before, so no environment for running a contract. Not enough projects are made with ink. I'm talking about the commercial one. To make it the benchmark or starting point for future projects. By the way, we as a venture studio created the first commercial project on Ink. It's called Funders. Yeah, you could talk with the main developer and engineer actually of this project. It's Sven here. Talk with him after the speech. Yep, there are no network specification documentation or a sample project, as all WASM contract docs are pointed to be substrate contracts palettes or a local substrate dev node. Yep, so it's okay, but what we can do with that? We mentioned that it's an issue, it's a problem, but what are the next steps? So, we could promote WASM as create some workshop, hackathons, events, work on improving existing instrument and documentation, create infrastructure projects, create some kind of simple project as an example of like performance and low cost of that, build tools to make starting point easy, of course, encourage developers, really important stuff, to encourage developers to build something on the WASM and share it, create a lower entry point for newcomers. We need new builders, new people in the ecosystem. As I mentioned, one of the main points that we could do is to build tools for smart contracts. Yep. Let's talk about some specific instrument in our ecosystem. So, yep, let's talk about that. I will focus on OpenBrush more because I'm product owner of this project, so let's kick it off. The first one, it's Europe. It was created by Patrick team. It's a private test blockchain based on Substrate to help runtime palettes and palettes contracts development. It modifies the native Substrate chain by removing unnecessary components, such as WASM execution, while adding some great features to help developers get more insights into the contracts details. The advantage of Europe helps quickly generate blocks and allows developers to see the call stack of smart contracts. It's very useful for debugging, right? The next one, it's RedSpot. Also, it was created by Patrick. RedSpot is named after Jupiter Great RedSpot. It's the first version, which is also the largest dot in a solar system. To describe it more like easier, it's like the truthful in Ethereum, if you know. So RedSpot is a development environment, testing framework, and asset pipeline for pallet contracts. Yep, this project is used for contract developers if developers want to deploy and test on the blockchain. As Patrick Labs is no longer active, so both of this project not maintained. Here's the main problem of that. The next one is Polkadot.js. It was created by Parity. It's a JavaScript library for interacting with the Substrate blockchain. Without this tool, it's almost like impossible to interact with the Substrate blockchain, and the same issue with the contract. The main problem with that not a lot of the developers working on that feel the more the need and demand of this tool is growing every day. Next one, Canvas UI. Unfortunately, I don't found like the logo of that, but Substrate Contracts Ui is a React.js application for testing WASM smart contract development and interaction of capability and Substrate blockchains. It was created by Parity team. Currently works only with smart contracts written in Ink, but if I know their plan that they want to support similar smart contracts language in near time, maybe ask or more. In order to deploy smart contracts, you have to run a local Substrate contracts node. So this the main problem that Canvas UI will solve. The Ink, one of my favorite one, an extension of Rust programming language is what allows developers to write smart contracts for blockchain that utilize the contract palettes, right? You can use any language to build a smart contract. In the final, it should be compiled into WASM anyway and deployed to the network. The contract palette is agnostic to language, so you could only call to its methods. It can be done in a raw way, like in Solana or in Gear, where you call each method. Ink provides developer-friendly Rust-like language to simplify the development and hide the raw limitation under the hood. Yep. So finally, we could talk about the OpenBrush. More than 9 or even 10 months ago, we created OpenBrush with a mission to foster Ink and WASM development and adaptation. The mission of this project is to make Ink really usable and facilitate WASM ecosystem adaptation. Here's some key points about statements related to OpenBrush. So OpenBrush is a secure smart contracts development on Ink. We know that OpenBrush should serve as a starting point for every development entering in Polkadot or Ink ecosystem. In addition to having a standard implementation, OpenBrush has some macros to simplify and abstract apps development. This project is important to us because it's our strategical Supercolony goals to accelerate Polkadot ecosystem development. Application on or Ink are considered part of it. From our side, we are already done a huge contribution to Ink, to WASM, and we are planning to contribute to do it together with amsterDOT team too. More facts about OpenBrush. Our team, by the way, created the first accepted Polkadot standard for fungible tokens. It's called PSP22. Also, we integrated contracts with XCM in order to have all the benefits of Substrate and WASM. OpenBrush provides tools and documentation to improve development experience. It's really cool and easy way to go into Polkadot. Yep, thank you for this noise. For example, modifiers like in Solidity wrap around the traits to simplify cross-contracts communication. We have the final version for the development of smart contracts. It's not ideal at all, but it could be done. Part of it could be done on OpenBrush level, but part of it only on Ink. So we contribute to that all the time. We're working in all directions to simplify the development and adaptation in Solidity of Solidity developers. The documentation will cover all the popular topics with example in the code and tests. Here's the thing. You can start your development of smart contract really easy with OpenBrush. Right, to sum it up, it's a lack of existing tool in Polkadot ecosystem. We don't have tools like Sol to Ink. It could be compiler from Solidity to Ink or indexer. Supercolony aim is to create kind of alliance of these tools with a good, useful for smart contract development. It could be SDK or, yep, we have such idea. But beyond that, it's not enough, to just know some language and use some tools. You need to understand what's going on in the whole ecosystem, what the hot thing, just to be in trend. So you probably see this cute otter. It's a WASM conference logo, a few words from the main organizer of that. This conference aimed to accelerate main stakeholders, key players in the whole ecosystem to discuss really hot questions like why WASM is a base layer of decentralization app, why WebAssembly matters in Polkadot, future of smart contracts, it's one of the main topics there, and more interesting thing. We will cover everything almost that was covered today, but more deeply way. We aim to develop the Polkadot ecosystem further. Here, I really like this meme, you know? Yep, so you shouldn't miss that. And here's the QR code to join the conference, to register for that. So please do that. Moreover, we believe that attending could help grow the ecosystem by resolving relevant issues, accelerating innovation, and attracting more top talented people in the Polkadot ecosystem. So yeah, here's the NFT drop that will be in just a few weeks. So like, don't miss that. Do you see this NFT? It's a really cool one. So, yep. If we're talking about the progress, you know, I'm Ukrainian on 100%, and big part of my team and Supercolony team, it's really hard to talk about it, but in Ukrainians too, from the first day of war, Supercolony is on protection, Ukraine, and the whole world. We have defenders and humanitarian fund for that. Our CEO, Markian, as you all probably know him, he cannot be here today because his mission now is protecting world's peace, our homes, and our lives. I believe that this place was created to share such really important breakthrough and insights. One crucial insight I got, that the world is protected by crypto. Crypto is decentralized, giving people the freedom to move and live anywhere. Now I want to mention how I'm grateful to this community to support. A lot of you guys donate to the fund and support me personally. So this war is not about the Russian innovation of Ukraine ground. It's about decentralization mindset is fighting with the free world. This is why all the free world should protect themselves. Yep. That's why it's so vital for us to continue our work to do WASM conference, to promote WASM as significant as possible, and we continue our work. Here's the line. WASM is not just about the future, decentralization, and Web 3.0. It's about new, honest, and fair worlds. Supercolony and I personally want to push everything that's related to WASM, both business and tech side, and bring the future, especially WASM, to real Web3 worlds. I'm greatly honored to be here and talk to you. Let's keep in touch. Here's my Twitter, and talk about such important thing here, especially on my birthday. Thank you so much.